Hello, runners. This is Coach Bala here. Yet another week is over, and first week of MISO 3 is complete for all of you, which is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just means that we are well and truly settled in the training train that I was talking to you about. Train is picking up pace. Most of you are well settled in the train, and you guys are training your heart out. And I'm sure by now, few manifestations of the last 6 or 8 weeks now, with 2 weeks of warm up, will begin to show up in the form of you feel your body is tightened up a little bit. You feel that when you start a run, you don't have that much of inertia to do the first mile, or even that much of inertia to get out of the house in the first place. You also begin, I'm just saying begin, and especially for new runners, beginning to enjoy this process of running from a start line to the finish line. You're no more worried about, oh my God, how am I going to complete this? Somehow I need to finish this. You're not worried about that. You're still not on top of it, but you're beginning to see the imagery of how a race day, your performance on a race day would look like. These are all awesome signs, folks. These are all awesome signs. Congratulations on coming here up to this point in the training program. Anything you do for what 8 weeks is 2 months consistently must bear positive results. Anything. So you should feel really good about yourself that you're here. This is also a time when your not only your physical strength is developing and getting better, your mental strength is also getting better. You know, when you approach now, when you look at a final surge, and you look at, let's say, a 3 mile run for this weekend, you've never done a 3 mile run before. The reaction to that, let's say 8 weeks ago, would have been a sheer disbelief. For some of you have never run before, and there's no way you can do that, would be probably what your mind would be telling you 8 months, 8 weeks earlier. But today, when you look at the same 3 mile run, it doesn't seem that daunting. It might be difficult. You might be thinking, oh my God, I've never done a 3 mile run. How am I going to do it? But it is not looking daunting or impossible. And the reason is your mental strength is also developing. And this is something we will double click on as we move forward. But for today, I want to touch on three very important items for you to think about. And I'm going to call that the 3 P's. P. P for pain, P for pace, and P for power. These are the 3 P's that will begin to start showing its presence to all of you in this training during this part of the training phase, which is entering MISO 3 in the middle of the season. So let us bring this up one by one. Pain, pace, and power. How does that manifest itself in your training program, in your running regimen, and what you need to know about it, and what you need to prepare for it, and how do you sort of get on top of it? Okay, so let us start with pain. Now, pain is what? It is your body communicating to you that something somewhere is not going as expected, and as a result, discomfort is happening, and as a result, a pain signal is being created so that you can do whatever is needed to remove the discomfort for the body. That's really what, in a very non-medical term, a pain philosophy is at the end of the day. It gives that signal. Body is communicating with you so that you can take appropriate actions. Now, when you look from a perspective of running, as I'd explained to you in the previous messages, running involves a series of maybe, I don't know, 50 to 100 muscles and nerves and joints that needs to come in play, work in unison, take its share of the load, so to speak, for you to propel forward. So in a very simplistic terms, let's say there are 100 items that needs to take the load: muscles, nerves, fibers, cartilages and bones and joints, all of that put together into this 100. Each have to take its share of the load. And if it is not able to take that share of the load, Hey guys, sorry, got an interruption. I had someone on the door. But coming back to what I was saying, so the three things: pain, pace, and power. The three P's that I would like to talk to you about specifically at this juncture in the training journey. So let us talk about the pain that I was telling you about. So all these muscles need to act in place and they need to take their own load, right? It's like a chain. That's why I call it the kinetic chain. Now, as we know in a chain, the strength of the chain is the weakest link, right? Similarly, in this chain of all the kinetic chain that we're talking about, let's assume that muscle A, muscle B are the weakest in this 100-unit chain. So when you go for a run, the load that is supposed to be taken by muscle A and muscle B is acting on it, but muscle A and muscle B is weak. And as a result, either it ruptures more, there is swelling, there is some kind of an injury that is taking place in muscle A and muscle B. And this is what is manifesting as a pain for while you run. Now, there are two thought processes that I want you all to take care of. One is that think of this lowest, weakest link in this kinetic chain getting injured or getting overloaded and causing pain is a normal activity. That is the first one. Like think of it as if you're looking at this lake and the lake is the serene, beautiful water surface. But imagine you're pumping water out of the lake and this water surface is slowly coming down. And as it comes down, the first projection of a rock comes out of this surface because still not submerged under the water level. But as the water level goes down, something protrudes up. Imagine you have this hacksaw blade and you kind of cut it off so that again it has become flat, nice, smooth water surface. And then you continue to pump water and then the next protrusion comes up. Or in other words, as the water level starts going down, you will see more and more protrusions or more and more irregularities that is coming out of the water surface for you to take care of. A very similar thing is happening in your kinetic chain activity. As you start running, the first weakest link in that kinetic chain will show off as a problem area. Essentially what your body is figuring out is this is not yet ready to take on the load and hence it is getting overloaded. So let me start fixing this area, the equivalent to you cutting off that irregularities in the lake. Let me fix this area, add more muscle fibers, increase the strength of the muscle fibers. This is what is the training effect. This is what we need. So you go for a run, the weakest link gets activated, and then you go and take rest, have the right nutrition, and next day when you come back up, this part is sort of mended. And then the next, so that doesn't become the weakest link anymore. Then comes muscle C and D, or the muscle fiber C and D becomes the weakest link, and there the pain starts, or there the impact of training starts, and this process continues. This process of slow and steady fixing of the weakest link of kinetic chain is a structured process of getting your body ready for a long distance activity. And that is what is happening in your training regimen. So you're allowing the body to figure out where to fix by providing the body some pain signals for the body to react to. So this pain signal is the right training effect. You don't have to be worried about this. That's my point. You don't have to be worried about this pain signal that is essentially the trigger for the training impact of your run. So that is one part of thinking process for pain. The second part of thinking process is when should you worry about pain? The easiest way to understand pain management is something like this. You go for a run and there is, say, a pain in a calf muscle, okay? And that pain on a scale of 1 to 10 is 6. You continue to run, somewhere in the middle, the pain goes to 6. And then you finish the run, it stays around 6, 7. The pain remains around the 6 to 7 even after the run. And you sleep off and next day morning, the pain is gone. This is a classic item number 1 that you need not worry about. But in the same scenario, let's say you start running, the pain is 6. And as you continue to run, the pain actually becomes more and more. It becomes 7, 8, 8.5, 9. Then you know that something bad is happening. You know, the load that you're putting on that particular muscle part is too great for it to sustain normal activity. So the body is now communicating for you to take immediate action right now and not wait for the training effect of the body to take place. The body is getting into shock right now. It is not into the training mode right now. This is what we call it as listening to your body. As you run and when you see that pain is increasing and it is getting difficult to manage that or difficult to sort of, work around it, you got to stop. Either you stop running or you got to slow down or you got to start walking in between or figure out what is happening so that next time you can give some protection. Like somebody has knee pain right now. So most of the new runners will have knee issues, but it is not really knee issues. These are muscles that are supposed to be helping the knees are not fully developed and they are part of the weakest link. And as a result, there is the patella and the various elements in the knee is not moving in unison. So it is either touching the cartilage below the knee, kneecap, or it is creating some extra tension on the muscles that are keeping the knee in place. So many things are happening. All of this is because let's say your lower thigh muscles are weak, your butt muscle is weak, hip muscles are not working well. So all misaligned forces are acting on the knee, and hence there is a pain in the knee. It's not the bone issue that we typically think about. But when this happens, you got to slow it down, because when you increase pace, impact load is higher. Slow it down, start walking, have protective clothing like a knee, knee strap. Those kind of things you need to start investing in to help the body do its job of getting the body ready for training. Okay, so that's what I would think. So when you have a pain that is slowly increasing, then you have a problem. You got to do something to reduce. Body is communicating with you to take action. That, in essence, is pain management, folks. Slightly more pain, sustained, it just stays and goes away. That's a good pain. A pain that is constantly increasing towards, not able to manage it, that's a bad pain, and you got to do something about it. Both cases, body is communicating with you, and you need to listen to that communication. That's how I would explain pain and how you think through pain in this training phase. The worst thing you can do, though, is simply ignore it, because you have this mental strength right now. Just ignore it and push through it. You might think this is a rare case, but I'm very sad to say this happens a lot more often than what you think. It has happened with me. Some time ago, 2 years ago, I took on this stupid challenge. It was called 4-4-48. That means every 4 hours, you run 4 miles and do that for 48 hours continuously. I have no idea why I signed up for it. I did sign up for it. And I did it. While doing was fun, anything you do 4 miles doesn't seem that big. But every 4 hours, maybe it's getting difficult. But then after 20 hours, then it becomes really, you're not allowing the body to recover, really. Essentially, you're not allowing the body to recover. So it's a stupid workout or a challenge that I took on, and I finished 48 hours with, I don't know how many 4-mile runs I did, but then I screwed up my Achilles. It was giving me all the signs. In the second half of this, it gave me all the signs that it is not yet recovered, it is paining, and I pushed through the pain like a stupid guy, and I am facing the brunt of it 2 years after. My Achilles is not 100% yet. That's what I'm telling you. These kind of stupid mistakes happens to everybody. Momentary lapse of reasoning. So as a coach, it's my job to at least highlight that so that some of you would remember this and follow it. So that is pain. Next comes pace. Now, this is the time, especially first timers and even early new runners who have done a couple of half or full, they begin to start fretting about, why is my pace not increasing? Will I ever increase my pace? I am running too slow and I don't see any improvement in my pace at all. In fact, I feel like it has gone down. These kind of questions are normal. And here is the way I want you to think about pace in a long distance run. Now, when you do let's say 100-meter run, measuring pace makes sense because it's a short duration. You run fast and get it done, and then see how fast you have done to finish the 100-meter race. But when you do a long distance run, especially let's say your target is a half marathon, a 13-mile run, Your pacing for 13 miles is what is your average pace over the period of 13 miles. Now, what does this mean? This just means that let's say your normal pace is 12 minutes a mile, and you want to push it to 11 minutes a mile. Maybe you would be successful in pushing it to 11-minute mile if it was a 4-mile run. Say this week you ran a 3-mile run, you ran a 12-minute a mile, and somehow this pace bug has bit you. And next time you go, and next long run you go for the 4-mile long run, and you push hard, you're breathing, you're panting, you're in zone 5, highly anaerobic state, but still it's only a 5-mile run, or what did I say, 5-mile or a 4-mile run. You push hard and you got your 11-minute mile. The pace is increased. But the question is, has the pace increased for your target distance, which is the half marathon? And the answer, most likely not. In fact, it has gone back. What I mean by that is, let us say if you have done a 12-minute mile pace, which is your comfort pace, and you just go through the whole thing for 13 miles. So 13 miles times 12 minutes, that's your pace, right? That's your average pace, 12-minute average pace. But let's say you take on this sort of strategy where you push hard and try to get 11-minute pace. You probably will be able to do it for 5-6 miles. Okay, let me even give it to you one more mile. Maybe you are able to sustain it for 7 miles. But after 7 miles, your body will begin to disintegrate. Your body is now filled with what we call it as lactic acid, which is the byproduct of anaerobic running. And when lactic acid is filled up, your body is hot, your heart rate is very high, you just cannot sustain. And what happens in the last 5 miles is you do 14, 15, 18, 22 minutes a mile. And this has happened. I'm not even talking about some hypothetical case. I'm saying I have done that. Not once, many times. This is before I got into structured training. So what happens is for the first 7 miles, you are at 11-minute pace. And then the next 5 miles, you are at an average 18-minute pace. And you end up at 14-minute a mile pace for the entire half marathon. Or in other words, you are suboptimal by 2 minutes a mile by trying to focus on pace. Why I'm bringing this up, folks, is that as you are in the training period, do not worry about what is your pace that you're running for the distance you're running, because you're not even running the distance you're supposed to be running. Your job, as the training plan is about, is to ensure that you are in this rhythm of running at a pace that you're comfortable with. And that rhythm, our goal is to maintain that rhythm as long as we can. Or in other words, the structured training program is trying to take you to build that rhythm for 3 miles first, then 4 miles, then 5 miles, like that it keeps going. And as a result, by the time you get to the race day, you are in the same rhythm for extended period of times, which is case 1, which is 12 minutes a mile for 13 minutes, 13 miles. And that is when you get the pace for a half marathon. You understand this? So your goal now is to build the rhythm that makes it comfortable for you to run the distance that you're running right now. But what is a side benefit of doing this is when you focus on this strategy, 2 things happen. You are spending more time on foot, right? When you spend more time on foot, your body is getting what is called as the aerobic training is happening. Body is getting more and more efficient to supply oxygen, create the circulation that is needed to support all the muscles of the kinetic chain. This is happening on the side. And secondly, your ability for heart to control or to produce this amount of oxygen is also getting better, and hence your heart rate is going down. So 2 things are happening. Heart rate is going down, your aerobic strength is increasing when you're maintaining the zone 1, zone 2 pace. So your overall pace itself increases. From 12-minute mile steady state to 11:45, it might come. This is how, folks, I increase my pace in the last 15 years. 15 years ago, when I was not doing any structured training program where I do my own thing for 5 years, my pace was like, when I finished a half marathon or whatever, my pace used to be 13 and a half, 14-minute mile. That's the best I could do. While in that run, if you look at it, my first 5 miles, I probably was doing 10, 11 minute a mile, or maybe even less than 10 minute mile. But overall, it was 13, 14 minute a mile. That's it. Now, in the last 7, 8 years of structured training of mine, my standard comfortable pace has come down to 10:45. which is a huge improvement from 13.5 to 10:45. And the only thing I've done is, from this journey, the only thing I've done is I've stopped thinking about pace. It just happens as a byproduct and not as the key focus. This is what I would like to tell you about pacing. Run slow now to run faster later. Keep that in mind under the pace section. And then finally, power. Now, for you to run long runs comfortably, of course, you need the nutrition, you need everything, but you need muscles. The muscles need to be activated to deliver the power that is required. Now, where are you getting those muscles? Just by running alone, you're not getting any muscles. Yes, you're using muscles, it'll just strengthen up and all that. But you need to, let's say you have 100 fibers of muscles. When you run, 20 fibers break. After you finish the run, when the body is in recovery, all these 20 fibers gets mended, and then another 5 or 10 fibers will be added just to make sure that it doesn't break again. That's the body's typical reaction to running. So you started off with 100 fibers and you end with 110 fibers. But what if I ask you to say that you need 200 fibers? Where are you going to get the remaining 90 fibers? You can't wait for running for ages to build up to 90. It's 200. It's almost too late. That is why you need the strength activity, folks. Strength activity is all about focused, dedicated, pressurizing the muscles for building more muscle fibers. That's really what strength activity is all about. Without the power, without the muscles having enough fibers to deliver the power to you, your running is not going to improve. Or in other words, if you want to deliver on your pace, race pace, you better start doing strength activity, which is what we have already inculcated into the training program. And I see a lot of runners, first timers and even senior runners, for some reason they do all the runs, but they never do any strength activity. And then they keep telling me that, there is an injury there, pace is not increased, I'm struggling and all that. Man, it's 1 + 1, it's going to be 2. You run, you don't do any strength activity, then you don't have any muscle power to continue to build on your training regimen. And as a result, something has to break. So that's what I would say. In power is all about strength, and you got to focus on strength activity quite a bit, especially starting from now. So in summary, folks, for this message, I brought you 3 very critical points: pain, pace, and power. The 3 P's. Pain, there is a good pain, which is, let's say, a 6 out of 10, and it doesn't increase as you run, and then it stays, and then after you sleep and get up, it's gone. That's a good pain that creates training impact. Pain that constantly goes up during the rain, you got to do something about it. You got to stop and listen to your body, slow down, stop, add extra support, etc. That's on the pain. Pacing, run slow to run fast later. It's got nothing to do with pushing right now. Don't focus on pace. Pace is an output and not an input variable. It's an output. So you got to think about all other input variables so that the output will automatically come. Okay, that's pacing. And then finally, power is a function of strength. If you do strength well, you will gain enough power. And when you have enough power, you will be able to power through your runs to get better pacing and less pain. Got it? So that's the message for you for this weekend, folks. Continue this amazing journey you guys are in. Very proud of all of you. Shortly, I'll be sending information on our New Jersey race day. All of you should sign up for it. It's always a kind of a mailer. And I also hope that you have signed up for the t-shirts and you've ordered for the t-shirt so many weeks, so many times. You always get multiple folks asking for, hey, I forgot to miss the deadline, forgot to order for the t-shirts. Can I order one? Unfortunately, we can't because it's coming in from China. And it's a lot of operations, logistical work that needs to take place for you to get the t-shirts in time for you guys for the race day. So don't procrastinate. Just order right now and get it done. Okay. Thank you, folks. All the very best for this week's training, and I'll see you next weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.